guy.
I've listened to.
Spin that shit. Well, hello there. Welcome to the new episode of the special edition of Ćuks versus Dix mashup special. Good evening, guys. Dobro večer.
Dobro večer.
Hey.
Dobro večer. So I'll just announce something in Croatian, then we will go back to English. Dobro večer, dragi gledatelji koji nas pratite na srpskom i hrvatskom. Ako razumijete dovoljno engleski, a vjerujem da razumijete, ostanite s nama. Biće zanimljivo čuti što nam kaže ekipa sa Denver Stiffsom, a naša standardna tjedna emisija na domaćem jeziku ide u nedjelju. So, I just told our local fans that you guys are terrible and apologize for having you here. So, that's it. Mire.
And that's the only way that they could truly know that you actually are our good friends.
Yes.
If you said that we were good at anything, then they would know that you're lying and this is not worth watching. But instead, we're a bunch of just old, angry men who will be drinking together shortly, it looks like, and this is exactly what they should expect to be in for.
I'm just doing like the reverse psychology, you know. I'm lowering the expectations from you guys, so whatever you say will be above that bar.
Well, you have a job waiting for you at the Denver Nuggets, my friend.
That's right. You could actually run the Colorado Rockies baseball team right now. I don't know.
I trust that.
With more
Colorado baseball, but it's been a disaster.
Yeah, about that, do you have a really brief notes on what happened to Rockies? Because we don't really care, but you know, you can share some unload some frustration about the Rockies.
The long and the short of it is I don't know if football is similar in Europe this way, but the Rockies are a small market team, and in baseball there's no salary sharing, or there's no revenue sharing, I should say, and not really. So the teams in LA and New York and stuff just have an unfair advantage, and the Rockies keep using that as an excuse to get rid of their good players, and so they're just always terrible. That's basically the long and the short of it. And they just traded away their best player, who's probably one of the best baseball players of all time, and they paid the team that took him to take him. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, Voya just said exactly what I was thinking. For like anybody who doesn't follow baseball or the Colorado Rockies, but who's here, who obviously follows the Nuggets, it really would be like trading Jokic. And actually paying a team to take him.
Yeah, imagine. Yeah, that's a great good point.
I don't get it.
Imagine they traded Jokic to the Lakers and paid the Lakers $20 million to take him. That's essentially what the Rockies just did.
Well, if we get Kuzma, it might be worth it, I think.
See, he's the PR guy for the Nuggets.
That's right.
Spinning the stories.
So the idea here is to make this show a big picture show. Let's just do a recap of the season that's the part of the season that's behind us. But before we do that, there were some good news with the Nuggets. At least when we don't have good news with the Rockies, we have good news with Nuggets. They played the Lakers, right? And they had a really good first half, right, Jeremy?
Yeah. What I wouldn't have given for this show to be before the Lakers game, after the Utah Jazz game. I was very optimistic. And actually, right in the middle of the Lakers game, we were feeling very good. The Nuggets, and to this point, actually, it still holds true, even though we lost the game. Our starters versus their starters made us feel pretty confident about our hopes at beating them. Obviously, things changed. We had some curveballs thrown our way, but yeah, that first half, I don't know, you were kind of leading me into this. I don't know how far into the game you want me to actually get, but I would say that first half was something that we were all hoping to see, and it played out almost exactly like we wanted. I'm sure we were expecting a little more out of Jokic as far as like doing his good stats and things like that. But he was still doing a good enough job to make the team around him better.
Well, the questions were written before the Lakers game, so I expect you all to have the same feelings about the Nuggets before the Lakers game.
They were actually made
We'll find
during
out.
during the big break during the game. After the second quarter, we wrote all our questions.
Quickly, but we're still ahead.
They
Well,
might not hold water.
We were talking to our buddy Lad in our text group during the game last night, and it did come up that there was like sort of two different teams that played last night. There was the first half team and game and the second half, and I think Nuggets fans seem to be kind of dividing into whether you think they're the second half team or the first half team. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. They're probably a combination of both. But they are so inconsistent, and that's really, I think we can all agree on the inconsistency being really frustrating. You don't really get the consistent effort from half to half. Obviously, the third quarters have been a disaster so far this year, and they continue to be a problem. And the third quarter last night was what sank them. And so until they get that cleaned up, and I don't really know what the issue is. They were a great third quarter team in the bubble. I remember in a lot of those playoff comebacks, it was the third quarter that got them back in it. So I don't really know if I don't know what Malone can do here. I'm not sure if it's a coaching issue. He does seem to mess a lot with his lineups in the second half. Like they never really went back to that original starting lineup that seemed to work well. So I don't know. We have a fair amount to talk about there.
How surprised have you been to see JaMychal Green at the 3? I was completely blown away by that.
I was completely
in
surprised
February.
too.
Yeah, I don't think that was on anyone's radar that I heard or saw.
But it looked good. The matchup specifically last night's matchup against the Lakers, that made sense to me. Because Paul Millsap proved to be this incredible Anthony Davis subduer. He would hold Anthony Davis down. He had legendary stats performing against him during the playoffs. And so he is a guy that you want to have out there. And so whether JaMychal Green is technically playing the 3 or the 4, I don't think it really kind of mattered. It's just like Millsap, you go to Anthony Davis. We don't care where he's standing at. We don't care what role he's playing. You just go over to him. And JaMychal Green can now do a good job of, Millsap is slowed down. He's not the guy who can make it from the perimeter into the paint around the rim as fast as he used to. And fortunately, we're seeing JaMychal Green do a really good job of that. Jeremy Grant was known for his quickness for his size, and JaMychal Green has never been known for his quickness, but he's doing just fine when guys drive to the hoop for it, staying with them. He's doing a good job rotating into the paint, out of the paint. So the matchup made a lot of sense for me to see him out there at the 3, technically at the 3, and I would be happy to see that again. But I feel like it's more of a Lakers matchup kind of a thing. Like I would not expect
big team, maybe Clippers too.
Absolutely.
And then that goes in the whole Michael Porter Jr. conversation of that guy needs to be starting, and that's a whole nother question. Actually, I'm just going to drink because this starts to really piss me off. So even though nobody's had a bad take yet, talking about Michael Porter Jr. not playing is going to make me drink right now.
Should we do a drinking game, or we drink every time we see him?
Oh yeah.
No, let's.
This
is
a thing.
Let's just do it.
So I did last time, and not that it was planned last time. Really, it was just a kind of instant idea. I don't want people to think this is who I am.
Every day.
Although that's what people who are this way tell their friends not to think of them. Maybe I am. But last time I had grappa. I thought I had Slivovica left over. I did not. I had to drink grappa, which was terrible. But now I just went to the store and picked some up. So we're ready to go. So here's to you, Michael Porter Jr.
Živeli.
What is it?
Živeli.
Živeli.
All right, Živeli.
Yeah, I will take my water.
Man. I shouldn't be. It's 2 p.m. here, and I have 2 drinks in front of me, but
Okay.
it's a special podcast.
Okay, Mislav, let's fire this thing up.
Okay, so we are now somewhere between 1/4 and 1/3 of the season, and it's a perfect time to look at the rear view mirror to sum up what's happening in the Nuggets sphere. Guys, so I don't know if you heard, but the Nuggets Srbija podcast evolved. We went straight from Charmander to Charizard. So we skipped the Charmeleon phase. If you're familiar with Pokemon references, I'm sure you're not.
Talking about.
I missed that one. I'm a huge nerd, but I missed the Pokemon wave.
It's not your generation, then. So we have our dear Voya, who started to implement some cool stuff on our YouTube channel. Although Voya's mom is the real MVP with her graphic design skills. Then we have our boy Miroslav, the homie. He's doing Twitter stuff, and he became the stats guy. And he has a cool name, Mirostats. Mirostats.
Very clever.
Then we have a trademark name given by me. Please, credits where credits are due. So then we have Milan, who is in charge of Instagram and in charge of yelling at MPJ and Murray when they play bad.
Yeah.
I took over the Facebook page, and more importantly, I redesigned the episode skeleton. Is that something you guys say in English? Skeleton, like structure?
Kinda, yeah.
Not usually, but sometimes. I think it's more specifically to like a building or something like that. Talking about the skeleton of the building.
Or like
I
humans.
I understood what you meant.
Now you know something more. So we just
I'm
called you in.
scared of anything that I might learn from you. Just to be, and it has nothing to do
Well, we
with
started
Serbian
good
or
with the
Croatian.
skeleton. Like, okay, so Kostur.
Wait,
Kostur
skeleton is also the that like luge thing where you go down head first. That's
Really?
called skeleton, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
That's correct.
because it makes skeletons out of people.
Jeez.
Oh,
I don't know
God.
if that's the reason, but that's what it's called.
that's what I always thought.
So first word we learned today is Kostur. Kostur is skeleton. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Anyway, so we just called you in so we could test our new episode segments in English. So, are you ready, guys? Let's do it, huh?
Yeah.
First,
We are
thing
experts at fumbling our way through new segments. So,
yeah. Okay. Let's see what we have cooking here in Croatia and Serbia. So, first segment is called Mislav. As you know, my name is Mislav, so we're gonna do the segment called Mislav. So I will give you some takes, and then you guys need to say, is it a miss or you love the take? Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
cool name, huh? So
I would change the name, but we'll go with it.
the graphics are cool. I mean, we have the Nick Young miss. The favorite miss of all time, and of course the Boban heart.
Yeah, I can't
Some
believe
love from Boban.
you got Boban to send you a picture of him doing that. That's incredible.
No, it's
I'm
actually
his friend, so that's not the problem.
Miroslav did that. Like, you want to share your story?
I spent one summer vacation together with Boban. Complete accident. He just went to the same apartment hotel as I did in Greece in 2014, and for some reason he picked one of the cheapest hotels in one of the cheapest places in Greece. Completely cheapest.
Probably so he could blend right in.
He was still playing in Europe. He was playing for Red Star Belgrade back then, and he was actually supposed to play for the national team, and they cut him from the list of players for the World Cup in 2014. So he had 7 days of vacation he didn't expect to have. So he just traveled to Greece, and he was driving a big Audi A8 car.
Ooh.
He practically took the front seat out so he can drive it.
Yep.
Oh, I wish he would have been in a little tiny like Renault or something like that.
He's a really cool dude. I don't want to bother with my story tonight.
You should. He will send you photos later. It's amazing
of course.
to see Miroslav in his bathing suit. Anyways, so The first question is, or statement, the Nuggets aren't playing as fun basketball as one would hope so. Bunch of ugly wins, not enough ball and Facu minutes, Malone not letting Joker get his 50-piece. So, Jeremy, is this take a miss or you love it?
This take is a miss, actually. I'm at the point, I was thinking about this. You go back to the days when Jokic had just kind of blossomed and he had kind of a bunch of shooters around him and they would just throw the ball back and forth, take some shots. Like, you just saw so much ball movement. It was a lot of fun to watch. That's slowly become more and more trained in, honed in, to the point where last season you saw Jokic and Murray having their two-man game. And I think we're at the point, like, there's a lot of people who still reminisce about, like, oh, they just need to get back to playing a game of principles. Like, forget about plays. They just need to, like, know how to pass the ball around and shoot. And while I would say it's a good sign to see the ball moving around, technically, that, like, I'm mixing my words here. Things need to be more dialed in at this point. I think when you look at the championship teams, they're not a bunch of guys who just, like, randomly have good things happen. They're done because they're executing game plans that they know that they're good at, and they've honed it in and trained it in. And so I think we're at the point where we should not have 12 guys all getting minutes in a game. We should not have the ball just loosely popping around left and right all over the place. We need to come to know exactly what the game plan is and see that executed over and over and over again to the point where nobody can beat it. That's how you do it. That's how you get it done.
Yeah, we are no longer NBA League Pass sweethearts. We're going to leave that to the Kings. We are going to the next level.
Exactly.
Okay. Friend of the show, Vladimir, said this steak is a piss, so I'm going to take a shot.
All right.
You just needed the reason.
I disagree with his take that my take is piss. So, and I actually already had a shot in here. So here's 1.5 shots.
No, he said that my take was
yeah, I was
piss,
going to say, I got to defend. It's Mislav's take is piss, not yours, Jeremy.
Hello.
Oh.
I know what you did. I just want to...
boy.
Can I give back my shot? How do I do that?
I just wanted to make him drink one.
To the next one. So, Nick, Bubble Murray was a one-hit wonder. Do you love this take, or is it a miss?
No, I think that's a miss also. But I will say I am starting to wonder if we're ever going to get a consistent Murray game to game. Like if that is the kind of player he is. Maybe just because he's still really young, and I think we forget that he was the youngest player in the NBA when he came in. So we keep going back to that, but it seems like we've been saying about something about his youth for 5 years or 4 years or whatever, but that's because he is still so young. So yeah, maybe by the time he's like in his 30s or something, maybe he'll have a more consistent level of effort. But I kind of feel like he's just one of those guys that runs hot and cold. Like he just seems like, for whatever reason, when he's got a chip on his shoulder, when there's a matchup that he is really into for some reason, when he gets off to a hot start, I don't know, whatever combination of things it is, he can go off. And then there's other games that he just sort of disappears. And I don't know what I kind of wonder if that's just the player he is, and maybe there's a way that the Nuggets can build around that. So on the games where he's just going off, you just feed him. And the games where he's not, you don't necessarily force it with Murray, maybe. And maybe that's, I mean, really, I think this is an argument for MPJ, because I think MPJ is a willing shooter at all times. Like that, he will pull up and shoot whenever he has the ball. He's always looking to score. That's a problem sometimes because he takes bad shots too at times. But I think that's the argument for a player like that as a third wheel, is you can have sort of Murray get hot, do his thing when he has it, and Jokic will always be a constant. And then you need this kind of other third scorer. And we're just not getting that right now. And I think it's I think Malone just simply doesn't trust MPJ on defense still. There's good reason for that. But yeah, I think we can still see this Murray again. It's just you're not going to see it. You're not going to see Murray average 30 points in a game for a season. I don't think. Like, I just don't think he's that kind of a consistent performer.
Yeah, so he's like a album with 20 songs and with 4 hits on it. Let's say it like that. Right. Every year you can expect like 4 like jumps from him. Well, I hope those jumps will come always in the playoffs, so we can accept that giant deal he has.
Yeah, and that's I mean I would rather take a player that struggles some with consistency in the regular season and performs when the stage gets big than the opposite. So
because usually in the former Nuggets pre-Miroslav era, we were always the regular season team, and then we fall down in the playoffs. So it's good to be on the other side.
One thing that sucks about it is the fact that he has to prove himself every year because he has a so-so regular seasons. Every year we will say, yeah, but will he do it again? It's really hard to expect him to do it again after this bad regular season. And the narrative will every time it will be the same, and he will never get an all-star berth because of that, you know. And it's okay if he performs in playoffs. That's cool.
Sometimes you get the reputation that you deserve. I mean, Jokic used to be called inconsistent, and look at the man now. He's incredible. Nobody's saying that at this point. And I actually just kind of flipped. I got so tired of hearing people have an MVP conversation without Jokic or like as the third. So many people were saying, oh, yeah, it's Embiid or LBJ, and then no, maybe Jokic. And I was getting so frustrated with that. And then what happens? He goes to LA and he doesn't perform well. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, well, you get what you deserve. I was sympathetic towards him. And now I'm saying, you know what, Jokic, you are third on the list. You do need to prove yourself more. So every once in a while, as much as we hate reputations, what the national media says, sometimes they're right about things, and it's up to the player to change it. And that's where Jamal Murray's at. Like, sorry, bud, you have to change your reputation. You can't just ask for local fans to be sympathetic.
Yeah, because those experts watch like 5 Nuggets game per year. So.
Right. No, that's right. I am always willing to trash national media. Let's have an entire show dedicated to that, please.
We actually have a segment for that, but not today.
There you go.
Sweet. I don't know. I kind of feel like there might be some coaching issue here too. Like, I don't know. I just get the sense that Malone doesn't coach offense at all. Like that he just focuses on defensive matchups, and that's how he decides his starting lineups is entirely off of how am I going to match up against the other team defensively, and that's all they work on in practice or something. And then he just lets the playmakers do their thing on offense. I'm probably exaggerating. I'm sure they do some offensive sets and things, but I just get the sense so often that the Nuggets are just freewheeling on offense. So they're just sort of making it up as they go along. And I wonder if a guy like Murray, that sometimes, like, he is a player like that, but when he does that, when he's kind of out of the offense, or he's just sort of ad-libbing, it generally is him taking a solo shot, or not. Well, anybody takes a shot, taking a solo shot, but it's him like creating
everything you're saying right now, brother.
It's him creating a shot for himself and not really getting other people involved often. And that's he kind of goes in this like hero mode sort of, and he can be great when he does that sometimes, but it just sort of, I don't know. There's just a flow issue to this team right now. I'm not really sure. I'm struggling to even explain it because I'm not even entirely sure what the issue is. But when the ball is moving, this team is really good on offense. But then there's these games when they play against a good defense, like the Lakers, where everything just stops and it's just guys playing one-on-one. And Murray is a lot of that issue, I think.
To speak briefly, I think there's 2 different points here. I wish I could answer it in one. I think there's 2 different points. One, I think you're robbing Malone of what he's doing on the micro level of offense. You're saying he's not doing anything at all on the micro level. I think rather he's doing more to the macro level where his team was losing. And we heard this last season where he's like, sorry, we don't have minutes for guys like Michael Porter Jr. We're trying to make it to the playoffs. We have a championship contender right here. That's the macro view. So he found himself in the same position. They started this season with Michael Porter Jr. as a starter. He said, okay, let's try it. And guess what? They wound up with a losing record. They were last place. They were slowly rising up. And then what happens?
Michael Porter Jr. was out through that whole
Michael Porter Jr. goes out, and all of a sudden they start playing better. So now Malone is trying to hold together their playoff push already. Like, I think the hopes was we can as long as we can have Michael Porter Jr. as a starter and just like limp our way into the playoffs, that's acceptable. Connolly's happy because Michael Porter Jr. is getting time, and Malone is happy because they're making it to the playoffs. Well, now they're not at that point anymore. And so I think it's more of the macro issue that Malone finds himself needing to get the team just into the playoffs that's causing these lineup decisions, as opposed to him just not having a role in the offense. That's the first part. The second part is even quicker. The Lakers game, I think Malone got outcoached. I think what happened was Malone said, okay, we know what your hand is in poker or whatever. We know what your hand is. We know what our hand is. They both showed their hands and we won. And then all of a sudden, Coach Vogel pulls out some cards that he didn't know existed, and we had different lineups that we weren't ready for, and Malone just did not know what to do with it. And at that point, all that you hope for is that Jokic can come through with some sort of miracle, or that Murray can come through with a miracle, and they didn't. And so I don't think this is why I drank during what you were saying, is that I don't think it's so much the Nuggets' inconsistency as it is that we got some curveballs thrown our way that we didn't know how to handle. And I think that doesn't have to do with consistency. I think that has to do with preparedness or adaptation, which Malone showed he can't do. But I hope that they go back to the drawing board. They have time to look at things. And the next time we play them, when Horton comes in, when all of a sudden Marc Gasol is no longer in the game, we'll be able to handle that because we had time to think about it. And maybe that's Malone's strength, is having time to think about these things rather than adapt on the fly.
Yeah, I mean, he
drink to punctuate that. Maybe I am a heavy drinker, you guys. I don't know. I did not think this is who I am. I am in agreement with myself, and yet here I am.
Pace yourself, man. Next question is for me, so pace yourself.
Okay.
Speaking of
just to
Malone,
clarify, I wasn't necessarily talking specifically about last night. I just meant more generally.
Right.
I just get the sense that Malone just doesn't really. I almost get the sense that he thinks offense is like fluky or something, or like there's just nights you shoot well and there's nights you don't, and there's nothing you can do about that. So you just control what you can control, which is your defense. And there's something to be said for that, but I just think if he there were clear offensive problems in the second half last night that he wasn't addressing. I really don't think the defense was the big problem, and that's all he was talking about after the game. If defense was the big problem, why didn't you have Green in for most of the fourth quarter? I mean, he was your best player in the first half.
I agree.
Defensively, specifically, I have no idea why he wasn't on the floor, and he was their leading scorer in the first half. So it was just bizarre. It was like he panicked or something. I just had no clue what to do. So I agree with you on that he totally got outcoached. But I think the problems generally stem from him being so focused on his defensive problems and trying to MPJ misses a rotation and he just pulls him out of the game. He's gonna miss rotations. You can't just pull him out every time he misses a rotation.
I'm gonna put a period on this conversation, and I'll tell you what. We'll do an entire The Dig episode dedicated to this topic, and maybe we can even talk the Ćuks into jumping on and digging into this one, because you're opening up a whole can of worms. Yeah. And these poor guys, I know their show is about to head into a completely different direction. It's going to be like Christopher Columbus.
That's what we are doing. We are in
the middle of the
openers.
Here.
That's what we do.
And I enjoy it, so I didn't cut you off because I really enjoy it. So
yeah, he always started to drive his car and listen to the podcast because he's always driving and while listening to the podcast. So anyways, so speaking of Malone, the next question is about Malone, Miroslav. So Michael Malone is the slave of his own principles. So he's stubborn. He needs to see his experiment fail many times before he changes some stuff. And he's always looking for external factors. So, Miroslav, is this take a miss or you love the take?
It's not binary. It's really not binary because I am on Malone's side for many things, especially regarding his treatment of Michael Porter, because us on this Serbian podcast, we are well known for our firm takes about Michael Porter. His biggest problem isn't that he doesn't play good defense. His biggest problem is he doesn't know how to play 5-on-5. That's his biggest problem, because it's not only on defense, it's also on offense. Sometimes he will cut to the same position as the other player at the same time. So there are some things about him. We of course acknowledge that he's really, really, really supremely talented, and this is something that's not supposed to be toyed with. But on the other hand, he really needs to be a part of the offense and defense more than he is right now. There was and I'm now digressing completely, but there was there is a big take from many Nuggets fans that Nuggets need to make more plays for Michael Porter. And if you look how the other players in the team play, there are no isolation plays that are out of the rhythm of the game. The isolations by Nikola Jokic, by Will Barton, by Jamal Murray, they're all in the flow of the game, meaning, okay, we tried this, we tried that, now we're just moving away and letting the dude with good dribble and good shot finish it. So that's one part of it. So this is why I am buying Malone's principles. On the other hand, I completely agree that he is being outcoached many times, not only by the Lakers. He was really supremely outcoached by Utah, by Quinn Snyder in the playoffs. But let's not go all the way back there, because we already had a show about it. But he is quite a slow coach on the level of one game, or even on the level of several games in the series. But I was really pleasantly surprised to see JaMychal Green in the starting lineup against the Lakers. I didn't think he would be able to make himself do it in February. That was a big surprise to me. So kudos to him. So we'll see.
So
this still might be his last season in Denver.
I don't think so.
It might be.
I think it turns into a money situation at that point. Honestly, like, as much as he would be maybe let go at another time in human history, that we're at a very distinct one. I honestly think that I think the Nuggets could do horribly. I think they can miss the playoffs and he would still be the coach next year because of financial reasons.
I think it's that. And I also think that Connolly's really big on building something with continuity here and with the right, like, character sort of guys. And Malone's obviously a great character guy. And I think he's willing to tolerate some of Malone's issues, just in the name of keeping this team, continuous and together. I mean, we're seeing that with how they keep stubbornly sticking with Gary Harris and other players that are just not performing. They're really just trying to, I think, build a culture too. So.
There is another thing that might be even bigger than that, and that's the fact that Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray love Coach Malone. They love him as their mentor, and that's a big thing. It's kind of a Terry Stotts, Dame Lillard thing there with Malone and Jokic. So if it's up to Jokic to choose whether Malone stays, he will stay.
Right. What he needs is they need a really good offensive mind as an assistant coach. I think that would help a lot of
back to the money issue.
Yeah,
because we're not going to hire one. Right. But yet, just speaking to your point, Miroslav, on the joy that these people have amongst themselves, one of the things I've loved about being a part of the Denver Stiffs is that we've been able to have a level of access to understand from a distance, but still there to understand. I've heard so many stories on how well these guys get along, where, you know, this person buys this cake or like does this thing, or like they went out and they did this thing. These guys really have a true bond together. And so while it wouldn't be right of me to share details on a lot of these stories, what you just said is 100% true. These guys are really in it together, and that also says something.
Well, and that's why you see them like able to come back the way that they did in the bubble last year and stuff.
So apparently the rules have changed, where you drink when somebody has a bad take, and now you drink when somebody has a good take. And I have no idea how I'm supposed to.
Or when somebody says MPJ.
Alcoholic Anonymous.
Alcoholic's obvious.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so I don't know why did I put the most depressing takes in this segment, because either you will disagree with me or you will say that you love my dark Nuggets opinions. In both ways, I lose. So I don't know why did I sort it this way, but let's finish this with a jolly one. So Nikola deserved to be an MVP this season. Is it a miss or you love it? Jeremy already had your take, I think.
Yeah. I will sum it up again, though. I will take this opportunity to sum my take up again. He did until last night. And now I'm saying...
I hate the timing of this show.
Yeah. Nikola, who I love, who I am behind you, prove it. Prove it. That's all I'm saying.
Agree.
That was my ESPN moment for you.
Yeah, you got. I mean, not all games are created equal, right? He had to step up on national TV against the Lakers last night. He didn't. I'm not sure it's entirely his fault. It just seems like he can't get the passing lanes against the Lakers that he gets against everybody else, and that I think he just kind of gets bottled up and, you know, gets frustrated. He's got to figure out a way around that. But
so this is another thing. God, the timing of this episode and that stupid Lakers game. Another thing that happened that changed at halftime is the Lakers. Thanks a lot. I'm already the Lakers. Let me tell you about that.
More like the Lickers.
From halftime, it was very. You can look at it from halftime forward. Their defense got extremely aggressive, and they were matching up against their assignments as soon as they possibly could. The second that they passed half court, you saw guys all over their players. Now, in the playoffs, the Nuggets were able to take advantage of that against Utah, against the Clippers. Anytime a team gets too over aggressive, usually Jokic can make complete clowns out of that team, because what they're doing is they're giving up territory to try and like put pressure on something. And Jokic can just throw a beautiful pass in and make something happen. And last night, that just didn't happen. And that's something that we need to look at. But there's a hope there. There's a hope that if their defense worked because it got aggressive, that's something that I think that we can take advantage of. Again, like going back to the drawing board, going back and looking at tape, saying, look at how aggressive they were here and here and here. And all that we need to do is exploit it this way or that way or that way. So it's a long season. And the playoffs are 7-game series, and I really hope to see us take advantage of that, because that was one huge thing that they did that worked that I don't think is going to work. Not in a 7-game series. In one game, yes, but not in a 7-game series. So it's no reason to get down on your team. It's no reason to get down on the Nuggets or Jokic. I think we'll see them take advantage of that in the future.
Okay, I will give a piece of mind here about his MVP chances. I just listened to Hardwood Knocks episode, the last episode.
I did too.
They did the MVP ladder there with Dan Favale and Grant Hughes, and one thing they said is that Jokic is behind Embiid and LeBron because his net ratings swing or on-off numbers are worse than numbers from Embiid and LeBron. And our friend Ryan Blackburn just made a podcast about that, explaining why Jokic's on-off numbers are not so great as these two guys. The reason for that is because this year's second, third, and fourth best player on the team are all playing on the bench, meaning that Jokic is sharing the court mostly with four guys that are below Monte Morris, JaMychal Green, and Michael Porter. And that's a really, really cool argument against that take. But, these guys, Hardwood Knocks, they're heavily based on numbers. And we as fans of Nuggets are heavily based on numbers because we don't have the narrative. The numbers is all we have, all that Jokic has. So basically, right at this point, the Nuggets are 12-9. So that's about the same win percentage like Russell Westbrook had in his MVP year. I'm not trying to compare those two. Yes, both of them had triple-double averages. Jokic had much, much, much better efficiency while doing it. So it's just one precedent. We want to put our eggs in that basket just to say, okay, this is the reason why Jokic should be the MVP. But in reality is that Jokic has to be so much better than LeBron and Embiid to be an MVP that I don't think it's possible this year.
What you just said was so beautiful. I hope that at the end of this, when you send this podcast out, that you cut off everything that was said before you started talking, and definitely cut off everything that you say after who knows where this goes, and just put out what you just said as the 3-minute podcast episode, because that was marvelous, my friend.
Let's just finish on a high note.
But yeah, let's just end it.
Thank you
It's
for
only
coming,
downhill
guys.
from here. Yeah, only downhill.
Yeah. Speaking of downhill,
you.
Mira, it's your turn now.
Yes, so we are introducing a completely new segment on our show. We're just trying it out. Hopefully, it will not flop strongly. This segment is called the Lie Detector, or in Serbo-Croatian, Detektor laži. Okay, so this is a completely different segment comparing to the last one, because now I will give you a statement and you will say if it's truth or lie. So completely different than miss and love. Completely different.
Completely different. Yeah, thank you.
Just to explain how different it is.
Yeah. How do you guys think of so many different ways that people can talk about sports?
When I say something and you think it's the truth, you're supposed to say "ping."
Ooh.
And if it's a lie, you just need to do,
Okay.
So I hope we know the rules. We understand
Nick
the rules.
will be
right?
good at this. Maybe you could just use his soundbite going forward anytime somebody has a truth or a lie.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's correct. Okay.
Nick's our sound guy. We got
Sound
stats guy. We got Mira stats guy, and then we got Nick sound guy.
It's all coming along. Okay. So first question is for Nick. Nick.
Shoot.
Jamal Murray is an equally consistent regular season player as Nikola Jokic. Now let me explain this. We already had a terrific comment from our regular lesbian duck who said that Jamal is really consistent because his numbers, including the efficiency and percentages, are absolutely the same for 4 seasons. So let me just put that there, and now you give me your answer.
Yeah, I saw that comment too. Excellent comment, by the way, lesbian duck. Yeah,
that's not the first time you've said that phrase before, is it? I feel like lesbian duck just like came off your tongue way too naturally.
Oh yeah. He's
everybody knows the lesbian duck.
He's the regular, yeah.
Okay.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Big fan of Brandon.
And I'll say here's why. He is consistently slightly above mediocre in the regular season. I will give you that in stats. He is inconsistent in the game by game. So like when you average it out over the season, his stats haven't changed a whole lot over the last few years. We see these explosions from him though, and we see the potential for him to take over games like in the playoffs, and we've seen it in the regular season on occasion too. And so those kinds of like blow off top games that he has, that shows the real talent that he has, and he doesn't show it consistently enough. And I think night in, night out, pretty much what you're getting from Jokic. There's certain games where he has really favorable matchups that he'll score some more than in other games. But with Murray, it's not really. With Murray, it's like you might have a game where he shoots 5 times, and then you have another game he shoots 21 times, and there's just no real like rhyme or reason to it. It doesn't seem like. It almost like seems like a mood thing with Murray or something, or like a matchup issue or something. Like if he has something he can get up for, he seems to play better, or if he just gets hot or whatever. Jokic will give you the same effort, pretty much every game. Now, I will say, that wasn't always the case with Jokic, though, right? We had some issues with Jokic's effort level in the past. We had, stretches where he would just check out for a week or two, and we would all get really frustrated. I think he's put that behind him, though. I feel like since last fall, moving forward, he's been really consistent. And this year, he's just been spectacular. Up until last night, he had been right there, right? 2-3. 1, 2, 3 in the MVP conversation. So he had been as good as anybody in the league, and you only get that way if you're consistent.
Very good. Nobody has anything to add?
Well, Jamal is consistent in his inconsistency.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
We are harping on that a lot. Okay, Mislav. We are harping on that note that he is really consistent in his inconsistency. Okay. Mislav.
Yeah.
You're woke. Michael Porter is a starter on all playoff teams but the Nuggets.
No, I don't think so. In many of them, he would be, but can you imagine him in the Brooklyn Nets? Like, all no D first team. Like there is only Durant who plays the D, and he's also on the same position. I think, of course, offensively he would contribute to at least 25 teams, but defensively, I'm sorry, but not good enough yet. But I think he will get there. I see he's trying. He's improved. They say the defense is mostly about the effort, although we talked about that. It's more than that, but it's a start. Sorry, you need to have the effort to. If he doesn't, there are players who are not playing defense because they don't want to play defense. They're just for the offense. So step one in becoming a better defensive player is showing the desire to play the defense. Then, of course, you need to have some physical tools. He has long arms, so that's good. He needs to have quicker legs, and most importantly, what Milan always says, he needs to improve his basketball IQ, if possible. He needs to read the game better, and he needs to learn the defensive schemes.
I gotta step in. I didn't hear who you said when they said played the same position, because correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Harris playing small forward for the Nets?
Joe Harris, he's on the bench now, I think.
No,
he's coming from correct. The
bench. I think it's Harris.
I think it's Harris.
Pretty
sure
but
what is
Durant's power forward is the interesting thing.
Yeah,
and there's been times where they roll him out at center.
Well,
they're kind of a weird.
MPJ is also can play both positions. I mean, I don't know who is the center now and point guard. Everything else is mixed up.
I think that he would be starting over Joe Harris on the Nets. And now it's a big question.
Not if Malone was coaching.
Like I need to go through every single team and see. But the Nets, I don't know. Like to me, Kyrie, Harden, Michael Porter Jr., and Durant, and anybody at center would be. Actually, Nick has played some very serious center. He's not the tallest guy. He was never the tallest guy on the court. But
I was the fattest.
You would own the paint. Nobody would move you, and you would just own the hoop. So
I was like a fat PJ Tucker.
Yeah, Irving, Harden, Michael Porter Jr., Durant, Herzog would be to me an incredible starting five. I don't know. Like I drank to your take there, my friend.
Feel free to do. You just want to drink. Just admit it.
Why do you have to make everything so dark?
No. When I think about it, like I still have the possible positions in my head from the 2010s, you know. And for me, like KD was always small forward. Although now, he does play more.
KD just plays the position of KD. I think it doesn't even really matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Shooting guard, small forward.
What is Giannis now? Giannis is also a bit of everything. Like
I think he's technically a power forward on that team because I think Brook Lopez is the center. Yeah. But yeah, it doesn't really matter with those those freaky athletes. LeBron's the same way. It doesn't really matter what position. Like he can guard everybody.
See, I think on the scale of Michael Porter Jr. on a playoff team, you have the top playoff teams who are solidified and who they are, and Michael Porter Jr. could be the wild card in the starting lineup in that case. And then as you slide down to the playoff teams who scrapped just to get in, Michael Porter Jr. is going to be better than whoever their fourth or fifth option is. So I just feel like Michael Porter Jr. is going to be a starter on any team in the playoffs. But again, like we need to get into the dirt and we would actually have to work through all the different teams. And I definitely don't want to bore your fans, the listeners, with that.
I have a question for you guys though. I don't really have an opinion on this actually. Either way, but so we keep talking about how MPJ, it needs to learn how to play defense, that he's behind, he doesn't know how to play off, he doesn't, fit into the offensive flow very well. Is that on him more, or is it on the coaching staff more? Do you have a feeling?
This is his third season.
Yeah.
Third season. I mean, he had a redshirt season, but he was there with the team. He was watching all the plays. It must be on him. I mean,
he barely played in college
because Malone doesn't mesh well with all the players. He had some problems, with Nurkic, with some other guys, so it could be that it's not 100% on Michael Porter, but I would say it's majority Michael Porter's thing.
I'm along the same lines, and I think it's a great question to ask. But I think in any sport, when you go to a team, you get thrown a playbook, and it's up to you to digest that playbook, to learn the different words that they use to do things, what represents what. And then to get out there, and you have to earn your spot. Whether we're talking about soccer, football, baseball, like you have to earn it, and it's the same thing with Michael Porter Jr. So he's getting a chance based on his talent, not because he's actually earned it, and that's really saying something because his talent is ridiculous.
Right.
But then comes in the coach, and the goal of the coach is. We're talking about an ideal situation that a player will come in and be able to fit in perfectly. That's the ideal that everybody is working towards. The role of the coach is to come in and make up for that. So if the player is able to get 75% of the way there, the hope is that the coach can make up for that other 25% and maybe change things based on the player or bring the player up to that level. But like Miroslav said, I think it falls on Michael Porter Jr. And then the hope is the Malone can make up for it.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you guys are saying. But I just add another wrinkle in. I think Malone's really trying to beat the diva out of him and make him earn his way on the team. But there's also a danger in that because, you know, pretty soon here, MPJ is going to get the sense that Malone just doesn't want him on this team, or he just totally doesn't believe in him. And there's a fine line that Malone's walking there, I think, where like MPJ needs to feel like this team has his back and sees him as part of the future, and that's why they're being tough on him and being like, "Nah, we're going to ship you out of here the second we have a good trade offer for you." Like, because if that's the sense that he's getting, or you know, he's going to walk anyways if he gets the sense that the team doesn't believe in him. He's not going to sign a long-term deal this year. So I think they're really kind of playing with fire with him a little bit, and maybe that's okay. I mean, maybe he's just maybe really the character issue that he has is not a fit on this team. We've heard some stuff from behind the scenes that we can't share either, but like Jeremy was talking about earlier about the camaraderie on this team, there's also some issues with Michael Porter Jr. off court that are concerning. Some of it could just be youth or whatever. But you know, he's got some growing up to do, that's for sure. But like, I don't know. This is a tricky one. You have a super talented player who could be the difference maker on this team and lead them, or be the difference in them and being a fun playoff team and actually being a championship winning team. But I understand where Malone is coming from, but I just wonder if it's starting to slip away from us a little bit with him.
You know, I think he will never learn because he will always find his way out with his enormous talent, you know. And he might find the happiness in a team like Charlotte or something like that. But I'm afraid he will maybe never learn.
Charlotte so much. We always use Charlotte as an example.
Charlotte is always that place when you're like, okay, I can see him being the star in Charlotte, man. I'm always thinking about Bobcats, not Hornets. I'm thinking about Charlotte Bobcats.
I just love that
they are Bobcats, actually. They just changed the name. They are Bobcats. It's the same franchise.
Yeah,
wow. I did not hear that.
The old Hornets.
First of all, Mislav, don't slander the Hornets because they play better offense than we do right now. As far as, I mean, Jeremy, you kind of said, like, I jumped in earlier because you were talking about the MPJ, and you kind of said it with the 75-25. The coach comes in. I still, like, from stemming from last night, especially, and then because it was kind of funny, you had 2 games in a row. I guess Utah was like different, just Jokic matchup was. We had Spurs and Lakers games where you can see the glaring, like, you know, being outcoached in a lot of ways. Is that San Antonio has those kids that, like, Lonnie Walker wasn't a 5-star prospect, like, you know, he had off the court stuff that he was dealing with, like DeJounte Murray was, you know, first few years. And when you have a coach like Pop, like, you with like why Belichick was always, like, considered the best coach over there in New England is, even though I know it's a sort of like example, but you have to be malleable. Like, you have to adjust based on what the players are. You can't treat MPJ like he's Gary Harris. Gary Harris came in from a pedigree school, like 3 years there, you know, defensive minded, you know, straight arrow, that kind of stuff. Like, no, like, flashy of any sorts. Like, so you can, you know, he's your player, but to be the best coach and to have a championship, you have to adjust to your players as much as, like, your players need to adjust to you. So you can't expect, you know, like you guys said, MPJ, how many teams he can start on playoff teams. Like, he probably could start in most playoff teams, because most playoff teams, especially the top tier ones, they already have a structure assembled there. Like, Lakers managed to, like, fit Montrezl Harrell as a competent player now in their lineups. Like, he obviously, and, like, they tried a few things with him and saw in the closing lineups he's not good. So, okay, we're going to use him in this way because that's the best way he's going to be effective for our team. With MPJ, it's an issue. Like, you know, you're not doing anything with him. Like what Nick was saying, like, it's a dangerous line you're treading with him, because it's always, he's just stupid, or he doesn't know the playbooks and stuff. Okay, he doesn't know the playbooks. Just make it the simplest plays then that he's a part of, that maximizes his potential. Like, he has enormous talent, but don't just, you know, wave it off and, like, oh, he's, you know, you say you're missing a rotation. We were in a good defense when he was out. Like, I don't know what people are, like, acting that defense is an issue. Miroslav said, like, as a coach, like, integrate him into your offense, like, you know, imaginatively. Imagine what he would do with, like, a guy from Indiana, like, coach that was there. that, or Steven Silas even from Houston, or one of those like young coaches that are like aware of, Jay Sean Tate all of a sudden is a player in Houston. Like, what are we talking about? Imagine like some of those minds with MPJ, and like Malone is that traditional guy that's not gonna. He doesn't seem like he wants to adjust on the fly, and that worries me honestly. Like, with that's why I think we had those 3-1 deficits, because he was just take it away, doesn't adjust until it's absolutely necessary, and so that's why I like him.
I think what you just said is a really great way of summing up the process that we are right in the middle of. And the problem with that as a fan is that there will be a point a year from now, 2 years from now, where we see the end result of this process that you just summed up so well. We will see whether or not it was Michael Porter Jr. learning to adapt, whether it was Malone failing to keep Michael Porter Jr. engaged, or whether it was a failure to change things to fit, like you said, the Belichick way, Michael Porter Jr.'s talents. We will see that a year or two from now. And in the meantime, there will be 500 podcasts that all criticize it. There will be 500 articles that all criticize it. And the thing is, from 1 week, it can look like it's working well. So the next week, you have all the podcasts, all the articles say it's not working. Here's what the problem is. And the reality is we won't know until the process has completed. And just to take a step back, our emotional friend Ladd said that the Nuggets were nothing. They were a terrible team. They weren't even going to make the playoffs after the Lakers lost. Whereas you go back to the Utah win, and it's like, okay, we had the Lakers shooting 70% in the second half and beating us. And then you had the Nuggets shooting, I don't know if it was 70%, but come on. They shot like unworldly in that.
Oh, they shot over 80% from three in that.
There
Utah
you go.
game.
Right. So
the first half.
You get both. Yeah, you get both of those. And it's like, we're not an 80% 3-point shooting team, but the Lakers are not a 70% 3-point shooting team. And it's something more in the middle. So it's the same thing, whether you're talking about Michael Porter Jr. and the highs and the lows of Malone be able to work him in. It's the same thing with the Nuggets going from, like, are they an 80% 3-point shooting team, or are they just like never going to beat the Lakers? Like, no to both of those. And so it's hard as a fan to work through the process, but at the same time, let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy the process. And let's not rob these players and these coaches of all the work that they're putting in, week out, to try and get to that point, or to ultimately fail. And then we all get to drink shots and hate the bad takes of the failure.
Yeah, we don't know enough to judge. Yeah,
that's fair enough. That's the thing. I'm not like, my thing was not like a judgment of like his competency at this point, because I was defending him even last time when you guys were on and before, like, because he started with Jokic, like that's his like badge of honor always, that his offense, like the Jokic era, is with him. Like, it wasn't anyone else that implemented Jokic as the great player, kind of like, as much as Mark Jackson, is a questionable character and all that, but like, he's the one that started Draymond, not Draymond, he was the one that started with like Klay Thompson and started that whole process
with Monte. It was like, is it Stephen or is it Monte? And you're right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so that I mean, obviously, like, that's what Malone has. I'm just saying, like, for me, it's just, there's a difference, I think, between, because you can be a good, like, the difference between like championship, like extremely great coaches, and then the tier. Malone is, I think, in the tier below, like Pop and Spoelstra, and some of those guys that are like that high, that because there's an extra step to, I think, from developing a young team to now you have development. Now it's like we experienced that with our national team. Like, we had a coach that was great with when the generation was younger, but we kind of peaked to what he could do for that team with full of professionals and and men. And now, this is not a young team anymore in that sense. Like, even though they're young guys, like, it's a veteran team that has aspirations for something more. But then when you're still struggling with the same problems that you had for the last 2 years, in same manner of like inconsistency with players or schematically against the same teams. That's the funny part. Was like it's always against the same teams. It's the Sacramento, it's the Lakers. Just if there's one thing that Denver can do, like there's no attempt to adjust based on your past experiences. Like Lakers in the playoffs, it was an issue they were clogging the lanes. They were getting away with a lot of physical play with Jokic, and they would still run the pick and roll from the top of the key and have Murray with the ball that he can barely get an entry pass to him in general. But now you're asking him to get an entry pass in the middle of the paint or middle of the free throw circle with Gasol that's in or whoever's guarding him in Jokic's grill, Anthony Davis on the help side, and then a bunch of smart wing defenders, Caruso, KCP, that they're just gunning for that pass. Whenever the entry pass comes in, they're going to storm Jokic and clog him, and he can't see what's behind him. So when he catches that ball, a lot of times you would have a guard like slap him, and it's the Lakers, so they're going to get away with, if it's a little bit on the hand, it's not going to get called, so you get a turnover. So that's kind of that's my issue. Just like he wasn't adjusting in game, and that was my biggest takeaway from yesterday. And like I'm afraid that's going to keep going. So I'm going to clear out.
What we actually did now, we went to the Michael Porter Jr. rabbit hole second time tonight.
Yeah.
So we just had a second.
I will say,
second
big
episode tonight.
I do feel like that is the rabbit hole right now on this team.
It's the omnibus of Michael Porter Jr. Okay, last question. And Jeremy, you already started speaking about this. So, lie detector. Jeremy, there is a scenario for the Nuggets to beat healthy Lakers in this year's playoffs.
Beep, 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 beep. Ding! I forget what the sound was.
That was it. Good job.
Bing.
Ding. I believe that there is. I believe that there is, and I mean, like, it's kind of going over what I already talked about. The first half of this Nuggets game was pure delight to me because it was exactly kind of what Voya spoke about, the roadblock that we went up against in the playoffs and why we lost against them. And here we were putting our 5 against their 5, them playing the way that they could, clogging things up, us playing the way that we could, and we beat them in the first half. And now, do I want to be a fan of a team that has a coach that can overcome curveballs like this, or players that just can instantly in the moment overcome things like this? Yeah, of course. I would have loved the Nuggets to have seen these curveballs come at them and then win the game. They didn't, and we lost.
I would love if they would get Marc Gasol for a minimum wage. That would be cool.
That would be cool.
And there's only like 2 teams in the league that can pull that,
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, he was absolutely meaningless. In fact, the Lakers would have lost if they kept this guy in.
Yeah, sure.
They completely would have lost. If the Lakers would have come out in the second half without making any changes, playing the same lineups that they would have played with the same game plans, they absolutely would have lost that game. And so there's an idea going around. I'm not going to act like I'm the originator of it. That and we talked about this even before the season started. That the Lakers got they improved their roster. Actually, you retweeted Zach Mikash put this really well. The Lakers improved their roster in the offseason, but they made their matchup against the Nuggets worse. And this was something I was talking about in one of the Stiff's latest articles. In that. The problems that Jokic had are different now. There's a wide lane for Jokic to make the most of this team, to make the most of this matchup. And so I'm being positive. I will say I'm being optimistic. I don't know if this will happen, but if we can go back to the drawing board, look at what the Lakers did in the second half, and then correct ourselves. If we can teach our players to be ready for that aggressive defense if our coach can come up with better lineups to match up against the curveball lineups that they threw at us, then I really do feel like your best bet is going to be your starting 5 guys. And we just proved that our starting 5 could beat their starting 5. It was not their starting 5 that beat us in that game. It absolutely was not. But let's go back to the last playoffs. Our favorite story as Nuggets fans is we got the Clippers coach fired because he stuck to his guns. And so now we just have to figure out, can we come up with a solution to this problem? Because in the end, the best bet that people have, they're starting 5. I think we might actually have that solved. And so now it's just a matter of like when a pipe bursts and then another burst and another burst, can we just plug those holes? Because by and large, our 5 is beating their 5 just from that one matchup that we showed. And so I can't wait for the next game. I can't wait to see. We're going to see the same starting 5s, I'm pretty sure, and I think we're gonna do well with that. But then when they start throwing the curveballs at us, will we be ready at it? I don't know.
I would be curious to see Green starting with MPJ at the forward positions. Millsap, he had his moments where he was playing well on defense. He shot just way too much. And
again, I just took a shot that I wish I could take back. I agree with your last sentence, but not the sentence that came before.
What did I don't even know what I said before that. About him playing good defense?
Well, you want to see MPJ start with Green.
Well, a fully acclimated MPJ, not this MPJ. I mean, I want to see MPJ.
Well, but just trash Millsap real quick. Let's get back to that.
Development. Yeah, well, Millsap he was a disaster on offense last night, and he was taking way too many shots. Their offense basically became the Millsap offense in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. How does that happen, right? And Green is a much better offensive player. He's been lights out from 3 than Millsap.
No, I think they're much closer. They're close.
No,
the thing is usage and efficiency. The thing is usage and efficiency, and both of them have low usage and high efficiency, and they're both good 3-point shooters. And Green right now, I think is beating Millsap, but let's not act like they're like day and night difference.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not saying Green is like an average 20 a game if he's a starter, but like Millsap is borderline worthless to me on offense. Like if there was a unified like sentiment last night, I thought it was way too many Millsap shots on Twitter and stuff.
Absolutely. That infuriated me.
And so, so that's the issue. It's not just like Green knows when to shoot for the most part. He shoots when he gets an offensive board down low, and he shoots when he has a wide open 3. And that's pretty much it. You're not going to see him like go 1-on-1 against the guy and try to create his own offense the way that Millsap kept doing last night. So that's already an issue that you could clean up. But maybe against the Lakers, starting both of those guys is okay. But I just think that, MPJ's size and rebounding, if he can get his defensive issues worked out, he is the perfect fit next to Green and Jokic, I think.
But it just changes.
He has to get his defensive issues worked out, and the only way he's going to do that is if he gets playing time.
I feel like you weren't listening to me. Millsap is the Anthony Davis solution.
No, he's not. He is.
Yeah, he is. As long as he tones down his offense. Yes, dude. Anthony Davis had like the worst game of the season.
That wasn't because of Millsap's defense. Oh my goodness, Millsap did nothing against Anthony Davis. He was, and not only that, but Anthony did every single one of Anthony Davis's offensive boards he got last night. He got over the top of Millsap. Because Millsap is too small to guard him.
And that's what changed the game. Anthony Davis's offensive board.
The offensive rebounding was largely what the Lakers dominated in the playoffs and largely what the problem was last night. It was a huge problem. He is not the Anthony Davis whisperer. I don't know where you're coming up with this stuff.
Stats, maybe?
No. Oh. We've been over defensive metrics before. They're garbage.
Are we all drinking right now? I'm sorry. Let me apologize for America, you guys.
No. You're good. You're good.
AD averages 22 points a game, and he only had 14 last night or whatever, so therefore Millsap gets all the credit. That's not how this works.
You know that my take is on the last possession of the game, I want Jokic to be guarding Anthony Davis. So, živeli. Much
Actually,
harder than
yeah, as long as it's not good. Joe, this is so much better than the last time we had this show that I was drinking grappa. Oh my goodness. But this actually kind of goes back. You just said you want Jokic on him. Nick, what was the name of our podcast, our fictional championship?
Oh,
Breaking Basketball. Yeah. We actually went with Michael Porter Jr. as the guy on that, because when you look at the arm lengths and everything, he was actually kind of the only player who might wind up doing it. And if the guy, going back to, I would really love to talk to Milan more. He pointed out that is a player who is very one-dimensional. I mean, if you gave Michael Porter Jr. the responsibility of just stick on Anthony Davis, you might wind up seeing a few blocks show up. He's the only guy. Although now we have JaMychal Green, that could be different. But
he blocked LeBron one-on-one last year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the last thing I wanted to say about MPJ, I was going to get this in earlier, and I forgot to mention it, but this is my last thing about MPJ.
Gosh.
It does make me wonder if he's the type of player that if the Nuggets just committed, we could see a good MPJ, and they're not committing. So you can say that's on MPJ to prove that they should commit to him. I get that argument, and I'm not saying I'd even disagree with it, but I do kind of wonder if they had come into the season and said, hey, we're committing to you. We see the talent. We know you have it. We believe in you. I think they were afraid of that going to his head or something, and probably rightly so. But what they're doing is not working, I don't think. And so maybe that's on MPJ, but I don't know. Something's not right with that relationship.
Let's give him some time. This goes back to what I said. Let's just give it some time. He just came back. Yeah. The man has had COVID 18 times. Let's give him a moment to get back with the team and them to learn together. We've got another 482 games in the season. Let's just give it some time and see where we get.
Gary Harris off the team, and
now Mislav, please just say something, because we have robbed you of every chance you've had to say.
Cut him off. Yeah.
So we are going to the next topic. The next segment is the debate.
Finally, some
now we finally get to debate. Yeah, finally.
Finally, now. Oh, look at us, huh?
Miroslav wins.
Yeah,
that's incredible. He looks like the owner of half the NBA teams in that picture. Just the greasiest mop on top of his head.
We look terrific, all of us, really.
Shout out to the Voya.
Also, is it just me, or does Miroslav kind of look like Adam Mares a little bit? Maybe it's just today and the angle or something.
Who?
He looks like Adam Mares a little bit.
Who?
Miroslav.
Right now?
Yes. I don't know. Something about the hair and I don't know. Something.
I do miss me some Adam, but I don't know if Miroslav looks like Adam right now. I don't see it.
Okay.
I love you, but I don't see that take. Okay. I'm drinking to that.
So, okay, the first question in debate is about MPJ, so I think we can skip it. Yeah. I think there was.
Wait, I got to
go to the next one. Yeah.
Oh, can you just? I want you to give an answer with only one word, no explanations, and no in between, just A or B. Okay, so the question is: MPJ's career in the Nuggets jersey, will he be remembered as a hero or a zero? Quickly, Miroslav, start. Hero, zero.
0.
Nick.
0.
0.
Oh my
hero.
God. Oh my God.
Somebody has to say it. Sorry.
We all think he's going to bust, except for, this is crazy.
Comes down to is, does he have the mentality? Does he have the mental? I don't know if he can fit with this team because of his personality, and that's what it comes down to when you trade him. Like Bradley Beal for Michael Porter Jr. We have Michael Porter Jr.
Wait.
Okay.
Wait.
Okay.
No explanation, Jeremy.
Okay. So the next question is: I know that Jeremy loves this. So, is Bradley Beal the missing link? You're the first one. I know you will say no. Pick me, coach. Okay, Jeremy, I see you.
Okay.
Yes.
No, he's not the missing link. No, the last thing I've talked about this before on the dig. I'm going to pass over all of it. The least important position in a Jokic lineup is shooting guard, and trying to get ourselves over the mountain, over the top, with the best shooting guard or whatever that you can is not the answer. It never will be. It never, ever, 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 ever will be. And so Bradley Beal is not the answer. He would not get it done.
But guess who would? Somebody already on the team named MPJ.
Luke Skywalker. And that's what I was talking about. Michael Porter Jr. physically is the perfect piece for this team. He really is. And actually, somebody just said Paul George. If he had
similar to MPJ,
if he wanted to be here, he actually would be. And that's very sad. We had the opportunity to have him on our team a few years ago, and him and his agent said, "Hey, Nuggets, you don't want him. He will not be happy there. He will not play there." And that's really a shame because I think we might have a championship at this point. But Michael Porter Jr. physically is exactly who we want on this team to win a championship. And Tim Connolly, I think the biggest choice of his entire career as the president of our team is whether or not to trade Michael Porter Jr. because of his mental personality situation.
And who are you going to trade, though, that has more upside? That's I struggle with this because I've come up with, I'm like, okay, well, if it's not going to work here, let's trade him. But who are you trading him for? I mean,
right.
Mislav, put some order in the debate because we need to have a clear debate.
Yeah. So
Jeremy said,
I want to put some disorder. I want to put so my perfect Nuggets addition would be Kawhi Leonard. I think he is the perfect player who would make the Nuggets.
This is not the debate,
champion.
man.
Yes, but everybody's doing what they want. I'm gonna talk what I want. So anyway, how are you guys?
Let's do that.
What do you say about the weather?
Okay,
so Jeremy said,
Dig is the Molotov cocktail into any organized show.
Bradley Beal is not the answer, says Jeremy, and then Miroslav has to say totally the opposite because it's
now I have to say he is. Even if I don't believe it, so this is the point of the debate.
I like
so
this.
This is why it's
I like
completely
this
new segment. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Bradley Beal is the answer if and only if we trade Jamal Murray for him.
Oh,
yes,
ooh.
yes.
And so
right.
So you replace.
Right.
Wait, I have to report something. He just saw this in the comment section. Somebody answered for you.
No, I'm too.
Can we give credit where it's due then?
Now.
Okay, so just stealing takes from other people.
So I'm trying to defend this stand. Okay, I don't have to believe it, but I
You're
have to defend
saved by the bell.
So, if we trade Jamal Murray for Bradley Beal, then you are trading basically a shooting guard that is acting like a point guard for a proper shooting guard that can play. Proper shooting guard that can play point guard. That's averaging 34 points a game.
Right.
Yeah.
On a really bad team, but on a great efficiency. So that doesn't mean that those 34 points are less valuable because he has worse teammates. It is harder for him because everybody is lasering in on Bradley Beal, and he's still putting up 34 points a game. He's #1 scorer in the game. So if you do that, and you still have Michael Porter as your ideal small forward or a power forward for the future, and you still have MVP candidate in Nikola Jokic, then you're in a good spot. Now, this is the end of the debate. So this was my pretend take. The real take is, who knows how the chemistry between Jokic and Bradley Beal would work? We know that Jamal Murray works perfectly with Nikola Jokic on personality level, but we don't know. We cannot be sure.
He would fit perfectly. You know why? Do you remember when he scored a shit lot of points in the Pepsi Center 2 years ago, I think so, and the fans were like "Oh, Bradley Beal!" Not the fans. One fan was yelling at him, "Oh, Bradley Beal, you suck!" And then he was like, and that's kind of person I want in my Nuggets organization. That's the typical person I want. He has a sense of humor. He can make fun of himself, and he was not like fighting with the fan like, oh, he was like, really, dude? Like, I scored 30 or how much, I don't remember, and you're saying I suck? And then even the fan was like, yeah, you're right, you don't suck. I'm just yelling at you because you're playing for the team that's playing against my team. So he would fit with his personality perfectly.
Just one thing, I don't want to forget it. Jeremy, look how big the rakia glass should be. You're drinking out of a too large of a glass.
I don't have any shot glasses. I am married to a woman who thinks the shot glass is a
candle thingy,
a poor looking thing that it's a does not fit with her aesthetic. So I have no shot glasses. So I am left trying to pour a shot into
unlucky you. Yeah.
But,
you need to find something that like actually is meant for like essential oils, but holds like the right amount for a shot.
Exactly. So I'm about to take a shot. First, Mislav, I like where you're coming from. I'm about to take a shot because of Miroslav. Oh my God, I forget why. Am I about to do a shot because I forget why?
Yeah. Those are
I remember.
A memory jarring shot.
Miroslav just turned into Slavoj Žižek and asking, who knows? Who knows? That's the last thing people want to hear on a sports podcast. Who knows? Who knows? Way to get philosophical, Miroslav. Who are we? Is reality real? Are we really just dreams within a dream? Well, I drink to that, my friend, because I disagree completely with where you're coming from.
Wait, so I see how much fun this debate is. So let's get back to the first question. We will talk about MPJ because one of you will have to say MPJ is going to be a hero. So two persons who are meant. No. I'm just the moderator. You guys are like in your arena fighting against each other. So the first question was will MPJ be remembered as a hero or a zero? And first in line to answer was Nick, and then you have to rebuttal Jeremy.
Oh, all right. And so Nick said he's a zero.
Well, I already. Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, I kind of made the hero case in Breaking Basketball for all of your listeners if they want.
Sure, it's great reading to real. I'm also asking myself that.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue, Nick.
Here's what I will say. He definitely has the potential to be the hero.
Greg Whittington or Michael Porter Jr.?
No, Michael Porter Jr. He has the skills. We already talked about it. He has what they need, and it's hard to come up with a player that has his skill set at his size. Well, there basically aren't any. That's the whole. He's a unicorn, right. And that's
Durant,
his whole value on this team. Yeah, him and Durant are basically it. And that's why he gets compared to Durant all the time. You don't have a guy that tall, that athletic, who can shoot like that in the league, and it makes him the perfect fit. Yeah, maybe.
We have two KDs in our team. Why are we complaining?
Can we talk about Bol? Can we make a whole?
And we are crying about Torrey Craig. Like we have two KDs in the making.
We talk about Bol. But yeah, I don't know. But this, I can't help but think about the trade idea though. Because I do like now I'm imagining this lineup with Monte, Bradley Beal, and MPJ, and I'm really enticed by that. But yeah, I'll to stick on topic. You guys know how I feel about MPJ. I think speaking for a lot of Nuggets fans, I believe, is that the frustration about him not starting or not getting minutes is just because we all know he has just unbelievable talent. The ceiling, is one or two, being one of the top 3 best players in the league. And so to see him stymied and benched all the time is just really frustrating. And I understand what Malone is doing. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying
Wait. You need to trash MPJ. You need to
Nick,
trash
we're in a
MPJ.
debate right now, and you have Michael Porter Jr. at a 0.
No,
and
I
you are
told you.
defending him.
I told you I was taking
You
the
just
hero
helped
position.
him out. I just want to.
I am taking
He's
the hero
here.
position.
Okay.
Yes, I
Can't
flipped.
flip in mid decision.
Okay.
You can't flip.
You, Jeremy, you also had 0.
It's debate
I
against
know,
the mirror.
but they said that I'm gonna be the hero. You have to be the 0. You have to hold on to what you believe in.
I
You're
think
the
I'm
0.
sorry.
Okay, let's
Sorry,
agree.
sorry.
He is not a 0.
I took the hero side.
He is not a 0. He is not a hero. He is just our Miro.
Oh my god.
Let's end this MPJ rabbit hole. I can't do it anymore. Sorry.
No, nobody can. Nobody can.
Sorry, I've ruined everything.
Nick flip flops as much as Gary Harris's 3-point shot. I can't deal with it.
So MPJ
I
is,
said when I referenced Breaking Basketball that I would take the hero position. Go back and watch the feed.
okay. So then we have. I just wanted to hear some good thoughts about MPJ. I don't want to hear Jeremy trashing MPJ because I know it's gonna happen somewhere
getting ready
throughout
to
the
hero
show.
Let's
Okay,
hear
I
your
want to
hero.
hear you. Hero him, please.
Hero
If
him.
you
I
can.
will.
Oh,
Okay, now let's move on. I can't talk about
Let's
that.
move on.
Okay, next question. Woohoo! Is it time to skip some steps? Miroslav versus Nick. Miroslav, you start.
Ooh.
Can I start?
Sassy question. I love it.
Oh God, this is a buzzkill. It is not time to skip steps because we have the president of basketball operation that suck at trades. This is the reason why the Nuggets should not skip the step now. They should wait out Gary Harris's and Will Barton's contracts and bring some fresh blood into the team. So no skipping steps yet.
Okay, Nick.
Yes, it's time to skip steps because Malone's never going to play MPJ. You can't develop players if you don't play them. And so we have no choice but to skip some steps. He's tying Connolly's hands. He's got to trade him. If he's not going to play him, you have to trade him because he is worth a ton on the open market. Houston wanted to trade James Harden for MPJ. That's how much value he has on the open market. So this is it. I mean, if I'm Tim Connolly, I walk in to Nuggets practice tomorrow or this afternoon or whenever they're practicing, and I say, if MPJ is not starting the next game, we're trading him. And you see what happens. And we're probably trading Gary Harris too. You say that just to make Malone mad. And just to try to force his hand. And you also need Harris to make the money work if you're going to trade MPJ for any kind of star. And you just throw down because there's no point in us waiting on MPJ's development in order for him to A, leave, or B, never be played.
We just spent 6 hours to finally have a debate. It just happened after 6 hours and 48 shots. It just happened. And it was beautiful. And this segment works, and I hope you take it forward. You have my blessing on the debate segment. Just never invite us back. Please, never invite us back.
I mean, the whole show will be the dig debate. Oh, okay. We need to find some sponsors real fast because I need like a commercial break or something. Like, where are the sponsors?
Bing,
he just left.
energy drink is from Denver. Hit up Bing energy drink.
Okay. Luckily,
and you have them.
I can see that Voya is still awake. That's good. So it is time to get to the next segment, which is called.
There's another segment. You guys aren't ending the show yet?
Oh my goodness.
No, sorry. Just 3
You
more.
have any plans until tomorrow,
ADD
guys?
hasn't hit Serbia yet, apparently. You guys are lucky.
Mislav kills me. Oh, Han Miroslav. Hanslav.
Konslav.
Okay, Voya just skipped to the last segment because he hates me. So the last segment is called Conspiracy Theory. Yeah, we have some other
Mel
segments,
Gibson, right? Or Mel?
Mel Gibson.
Okay.
Yeah. But this was I believe it was Han Solo on the Millennium Falcon.
No, come on, do
Mel Gibson in the background.
Do the mysterious player. Like I was looking forward to that.
Okay.
No skipping steps, Miroslav. No skipping segments also.
No skipping segments. If we're not skipping, then we need to do the mystery player.
Oh, it's Jamal Murray.
Okay, so I will try to make this quick because we're already 6 hours deep. So
we don't have like 7 more segments to go.
Works. I have 6 clues for each mystery player. There will be 3 players. 6 clues. You will be answering individually after each clue. So for the first player, first answer will be made by Mislav. If he doesn't get it, second question will be answered by Jeremy, third one by Nick, and then go back to Mislav, and so on. Total of 6 clues, and the 6th one is crazy, stupidly simple, so you will get it. Okay. First question.
Let's just cut to that clue if we could.
Yeah.
For this group, just considering who's here.
Okay. First question. Mislav.
Yes.
This player
MPJ.
is a Nuggets player. And he is the 8th player in offensive rebounds percentage at 21.8. So just 8th player in that category.
Offensive rebounds.
Offensive rebounds percentage.
Do we even have 8 players?
I feel like if we had to sum up your podcast in ranking, I would say who's 8th podcast in offensive rebounding. Why is this the question, guys?
Listen, man,
why is this the question?
He's starting hard, Jeremy.
It's hard. It's 6 points if you get it after first try.
I will say Monte Morris.
Okay, Monte Morris is not the correct answer. Second question is for Jeremy.
Okay.
Jeremy. So remember the 8th place on the offensive rebounds percentage.
Okay.
Because it's really important.
Okay.
Second clue. This player has the 3rd worst opponent 3-point field goal percentage on the team after Bol and Zeke Nagy. Now, this is already a help. Now you know all 16 players.
I don't even want to be a part of this podcast anymore. I just want to drink. I hope my wife doesn't come home. I just want to find a corner of this room and I just want to drink in it all night.
Hey, but if you were drinking alone without the podcast, it would be weird.
This is no sort of game for anybody to play or anybody to listen to.
Come on, man. It's easy. 3rd worst opponent 3-point percentage on the team.
You got like a 10% chance. We're already down 1 player.
That's right. Well, actually, we're down 3 players because I already excluded Bol and Zeke Nagy.
Oh, right. Good point.
It is Hartenstein.
Hartenstein is the wrong answer.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Why I want to be over there in that corner, just drinking, never talking to any of you ever again.
How's it feel to not know anything about the Nuggets, Jeremy?
This will go fast. Come on. Clue number 3, Nick. This player is 4th. This is easy. This player is 4th on the team in usage at 21.5%.
Will Barton.
It is.
4th in usage. Will Barton is the wrong answer.
Oh, I was with you, Nick.
Brother.
I totally thought it was Will. Okay, this game rocks. This game is awesome. I'm sorry.
I will explain. Okay. Fourth clue. Mislav, you're up again. This player is second on the team in points per possession on cuts at 1.61. So second.
Oh, I know what the answer is.
Second.
Can I buzz in?
No. Second
in points per possession.
So we had 8 in the offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
What was then?
Then
I'm between MPJ and Gary Harris. MPJ, Gary Harris.
MPJ is the correct answer.
Yeah.
Mislav got it.
Yeah.
3 points, Mislav. 3 points, Mislav.
I got confused by the 8 place for the offensive rebounds. I would say he's like second.
He is a great
This is the
rebounder.
best game I've ever played.
Yeah,
This is the
I know.
best
Yeah.
game I've ever played.
I know. I really fooled you with these ones. But these are all correct statistics.
By the
I'm
way,
not making,
I want to throw
making
in,
anything up.
just to pile onto that, I noticed the other day in our fantasy league, MPJ is ranked like 30th in fantasy,
Yeah.
which is
Right.
crazy. He's barely
Per
played.
average.
Yeah, on average,
Per average.
but still nuts.
No,
Yeah.
that's why he is the perfect person for us to win a championship.
Yeah,
Physically.
and yeah, right.
So let me explain some things. So what confused you was he's the fourth in usage on the team. And that's because number 1 is Jokic, number 2 is Murray, and number 3 is actually, can you guess it?
Paul
Millsap.
Millsap.
Nope.
Monte.
It's Howard.
Oh.
It's Howard
Oh.
because when he's on the court, he's shooting everything.
Who?
Marcus
Weird.
Howard.
Howard.
Marcus Howard.
Howard?
Yes.
Yeah, because he
He
shoots every time he's on the
He
court.
has like
Howard?
29% usage because when
Who?
he's on Marcus Howard.
He's a Denver
Oh
Nugget.
my
Jeremy.
gosh. Oh,
Cousin of
I
Dwight
hate
Howard.
this. I hate this. I'm going back to my corner over there where there's real people waiting for me. Better than you
I just
guys.
see a lot of pots. Something.
That's better than what's going on over here.
I will give you just one more stat about Michael Porter. That was the 5th question, and that he is the second on the team on spot up effective field goal percentage at 72%. He is second.
Wow.
You know who is the first?
Jokic.
Spot up? Murray?
Spot up. Effective
I don't know.
field
Monte.
goals.
Monte.
Nope.
I have no
The
idea.
first is Facu Campazzo at 85% effective
No.
field goal percentage
Wow.
on spot ups.
I was wondering, based on our last podcast, anybody listening right now, I was wondering if Facu was going to come up because I know Miroslav, you were a big fan, and I feel like he's kind of fallen short. It's very, very, very cool to hear that Facu has that stat. That's huge. It's
It's
big.
a really small sample size, really small
But
usage,
still.
but still,
But still,
very
that's
effective.
something.
I
Okay.
don't know. I see something really promising in his game. I know we've had mixed results from him so far, but I like him a lot.
Oh, does Mislav hate him?
No,
Does
look
he?
at the comment of Lesbian Duck. Lesbian Duck says Miroslav obviously doesn't have anything to do in his free time.
Guys, I actually spent an hour of my life on this, so please indulge me. Okay, second mystery player. This time Jeremy starts.
Mhm.
Okay. So this player is second to last in field goal percentage on shots between 5 and 9 feet at 25%.
I think he's
Second to
the-
last.
Second to last at only 25% between 5 and 9 feet.
Well, if history is a guide, this is easy.
Bolo.
Bol is not the correct answer.
Up yours.
Has he even taken a non-3 this year?
Okay, second try is for Nick. Nick, this player is only 9th in 3-point percentage in catch and shoot situations at 36.8%.
This is obviously Gary Harris.
9th in 3-point catch and shoot. Only catch and shoot.
Gary Harris.
Gary Harris is not correct.
Yeah. No way.
Okay. Third question. Mislav. This player has the highest effective field goal percentage in transition this season at 75%. In transition.
In transition,
effective field goal percentage.
I'm gonna help you. 75% feels like a really low usage. Like that's 3 out of 4.
Yeah, that wasn't usage though.
No, but I'm saying like this is a statistic that's based off of 3 out of 4.
Guys, this is transition. Transition is chaos. So
don't try and get out of this, Miroslav. He's like, I spent an hour on this. I want them to seethe. I want them to feel pain.
RJ Hampton.
RJ Hampton is a really interesting guess, but it's wrong.
Oh, Miroslav hates you. Did you hear that in his voice?
He was so
okay. We're back to
podcast
Jeremy.
host hates
Come on,
you.
guys. We need to keep this rolling. Come on. People are getting to sleep. So, Jeremy, this player also has the highest field goal percentage on putbacks at 67%.
Could you go through every single stat that you mentioned before this one?
Okay, so first one, he's really lousy between 5 and 9 feet, 25%.
Like he's
really lousy in 3-point
Is it Hartenstein?
On catch and shoot.
Is it Hartenstein?
Isaiah Hartenstein doesn't shoot threes. And this guy is 19% for catch and shoot threes. So Isaiah Hartenstein is not the correct answer.
I should have kept listening.
Oh, you're really bad with this player.
All right, he guessed already. Move on.
Okay, so 5th clue. Now it's Nick. Nick.
Yeah.
This is easy. It's really easy.
Okay.
This player is 14th among all active players in the league in total points at 14,118.
What?
Wait, what?
Oh, it's got to be Paul Millsap then.
Paul Millsap is the correct answer.
Okay.
Oh.
Surprise is here. He is really bad at floaters. 25%.
I almost phoned a friend and went to the chat, and they were all saying Monte. I would have been embarrassed.
You know who is the only player that's worse than Paul Millsap in floaters zone?
Gary
Harris. That's
It's Will Barton, 19%.
Oh
floater
no,
zone.
Will.
So the Nuggets have 3 horrendous.
Really not finishing around the rim.
The Floater Brothers. The Floater Brothers, we should call them.
Because I know Gary Harris's inside 10 feet numbers the last couple of years were horrendous. So bad. Like worse than the league bad.
So now we have 3 points for Mislav in the first game, and we have 2 points for Nick. Now it's time for the player number 3.
How much am I winning by?
Not really.
Oh.
Mislav is winning at the moment.
Oh.
Okay. So, Nick, now you start.
Yeah.
You start,
Okay.
sorry. This player is 14th out of 16 total players that played, because Greg Whittington is not a real person. So this player is 14th in personal fouls per 36 minutes at 2.3. I will give you one small clue. It's not Isaiah Hartenstein, because he's leading, not the league, he's leading the universe at 8.6 personal fouls per 36 minutes.
Okay.
So this guy is actually really good at this.
This guy's not fouling.
I would expect no less from a German.
I'm going to say it's probably Bol. I don't think Bol fouled anyone.
Okay, this is an interesting guess. It's wrong, but it's interesting. Okay.
Was it close?
Not sure. I don't have the table in front of me.
Not sure.
Second try. So this time Mislav. Mislav, this player shares 8th position in steals per 36 minutes at 1.1. Just for the reference, I'm helping you again. But listen, man, 8th among these
I feel like
guys.
Faku's better than that for steals.
So this is 8th. And you know who is the guy with the most steals per 36 in the Nuggets?
Nikola
Jokic.
3.4. Whooping 3.4.
Yeah, I believe it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I missed my turn. I said Faku without listening to the end, so I lost my turn.
Okay. Third clue. Now it's Jeremy. Jeremy, this player is dead last in field goal percentage in the last 4 seconds of the shot clock at 12.5%.
How's this the third clue?
12.5% in the last 4 seconds of the.
You know what? I'm going to throw Jamal Murray out there.
Jamal Murray
is not the answer. Yeah. I heard it in your tone. Thanks. I'm just joking.
Okay, fourth clue. Nick, we're back to you.
Okay.
Now this is easier now. This player has the highest plus minus per game in the team at 4.9. Highest plus minus per game. So not the total plus minus per game.
I think it's Green.
Jermichael Green is the wrong answer. Fifth clue, this one for Mislav, and he should nail it and be a complete dominant winner. This player was the highest Nuggets draft pick on the 2014 draft.
Highest as like in the 60s or in the low? In the
highest
one.
Best position draft pick in 2014.
2014 was
it's Greg Whittington.
Nurkic, Harris, and Jokic. So I would say Mr. Gary.
Gary Harris is the correct answer.
Oh my god!
It was
Greg Whittington.
It was I got the questions beforehand.
He knew the answers.
I didn't know the questions. Like I forgot what he asked me. Like I was just guessing players. You have like 17 choices minus Whittington. So
highest plus minus in the team. He is a really bad clutch shooter. He is surprisingly bad in steals per game per 36 minutes.
That's crazy.
8. It's really surprising.
I would love to compare that to like 3 years ago. Like
and he's fouling really low. That's really interesting.
Like we use his replay against the Thunder when he nailed that game-winning 3-point shot like so many times. That's like the most used Nuggets clip like ever.
Yeah,
I really wonder where he was at 3 years ago compared to the stat.
Yeah, remember that?
Mentioned.
Remember that steal he had on Dame Lillard? I think that was 2-3. I think maybe that was 3 years ago too. Like to end the game. He picked him right at like almost mid-court, and they ended up winning.
Okay,
that seems like a different Gary Harris ago.
Yeah, we are already in minute 112. We need to end this show because
So thank you, Miroslav, for this segment. It was weird, but it was fun to see all the weird stats, like MPJ being 8 in the offensive rebounds, blah, blah. I have the last question for you guys, and then we are done. So not the segment. Oh, okay, this is actually the segment, but I will not go through the all questions, just one. So segment is called Šta špit, šta piješ. It means like what you got, but in our language it sounds like what you're drinking. So you have to choose one thing, and it's preferred to be different than the other picks. So the last question of the day is, it goes like this. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, but the wine and the song, like the seasons, have all gone. So we had good times, but it's time to move on, although it will break our hearts. So to which Nuggets player you would say goodbye to you, my trusted friend?
I will not lose any words. I will just say Paul Millsap.
So you love him. He did a lot for us.
I love the
it's
guy.
time to.
I really love Paul Millsap, but he is well over the hill. He's the first guy I'm cutting out.
It doesn't have to be a player. It can be a coaching staff person.
Well, I love everybody.
It can be a Michael Malone.
It can be Malone. It can be Malone. That's what I'm saying.
It's too expensive to
say goodbye to you, my rich friend, Mike. Okay, Nick, what's your pick? Oh, it rhymes.
I'm saying goodbye to Gary. It's not coming back. It's not.
And Jeremy, just say goodbye to Will Barton so we can end this.
Okay, I will say goodbye to Michael Porter Jr.
Whoa! He's not even a friend. He's not even a friend.
You were absolutely insane, my friend, and you have no chance to grow into a star on our team or any team.
Oh, you're such a boomer.
And so let's kick you to the
guy
curb.
is like 19.
You're trash.
he's actually 22.
There's the ceiling of his talent is to the top. It's to the heavens. The man is crazy.
I will say goodbye to
He doesn't
Barton.
believe in a flat Earth, so.
Can we get one question from Voya, please?
Yes, there is Voya. Oh,
Voya, we can hear you.
I muted myself. What's going on? What do you need me to say goodbye to someone?
No, do you have a question for this panel here?
Oh no, you guys are great.
experts.
You guys are great, but it's been 2 hours. Like,
okay, thank you for coming.
He's been sleeping for the last 45 minutes.
Yeah. Are we still live? Like I thought we were just chatting. Anyways, MPJ suck.
Well, people are still in on this. Oh Lord.
Miroslav, do you want to close the show?
Yes, I would like to thank Jeremy. I would like to thank Nick. I would like to thank you, Mislav, for spending 2 hours of your life with me. For some reason, it's been really fun for me, and I really hope we will do this again in a couple of months when we are celebrating 2/3 of the season or something like that. Hopefully not after another devastating Lakers loss. But we'll see. We'll see what the destiny has in its cards for us. So yeah, really deep for the end.
No, that was good. And no worries about the length of this because all you're putting out is the 5 minutes that you said earlier in the episode that I said right. Just to cut before and after. Yeah. So we could keep talking and keep drinking, and all that anybody's going to hear is that 5 minutes.
We've given you a 2-hour block of marble. You can cut down to 6 usable minutes.
That's right. One last question: when the fudge can we expect next episode of The Dig?
I really like the idea of digging deeper into the issue that I no longer remember because of the Slivovica. And having you two guys on. That's all I remember is that Nick brought up something that deserved an entire episode. What, do you remember that?
Yeah, it was Malone and his handling of MPJ and the rotations and stuff, I think.
That sounds like something that people would want to listen to.
Yeah,
so
probably.
Maybe we do that next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's find out some more statistics about MPJ, that he is like 12th in the steals when he is wearing black socks.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
12th in everything, please. Ćuks, please bless us with who's 12th in everything.
Mirostats will take care of it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you guys for coming, and thank you, both of you fan people who are watching all the way. We are having another episode on Sunday in Serbian and Croatian around 7 p.m. I would say. So let's go Nuggets. Thank you for coming. Bye.
Idemo Nuggets.
Nuggets Srbija, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, zvonce, stisnite, like, share, komentar, MySpace, na blogu, u novinama smo sutra, gledajte nas.